the Always Sunday Football League. And it's getting late early out there. Already over 20% of the season has been played. The days and the weeks are flying by. The players are getting injured still, even though we've asked them repeatedly not to. And we've got a couple of undefeated teams. We've got a couple of 0-3 teams. We've got a couple of difficult decisions to make this week. And we've got a couple of panelists. Anthony, how's it going?
It's going great, bro. How you doing?
I'm doing very well. Thank you. Danny, how you doing?
Good.
He's
good. No complaints.
He's you're right, dude.
He's spinning the phone. Jonny, how's it going over there?
I'm doing good, man. Pulling the Pat McAfee over here with the sleeveless.
I can see that. And the humidity is doing wonders with your hair right now. We love it.
I do love it.
How was everybody's week 3?
Not so
pretty
bad.
Good.
I like pretty good. I actually in one league, dude. I went to Monday night. I was up 40 points. He had Jamar Chase and Mike Evans. I lost by 1.5 points. Not what you want.
That is not what you want. First thing we'll do is we can. I mean, I guess you know what you brought it up.
Oof.
Not what you want. Did you guys see that Mike Williams tore his ACL this week? That he was having a good game. He was, the offense has been humming, and unfortunately, he's the next big major name to go down to injury. Not what you want. Also, in related news in our league this week, there were several trades involving Mike Williams that were sitting on the table for days and days at a time from different teams over to the Mike Williams owner. I have to check my notes to see who that is, but somebody can figure that out for me. But the Mike Williams owner didn't act on any of those trades and instead went down with the ship on that one. So there you go. It's a double layer of not what you want.
I could piggyback a little one off of that Mike Williams.
Go ahead.
We all remember that game before he goes down. The phenomenal Keenan Allen throws the touchdown.
Yes.
After that, I think it was 45-yard touchdown pass. At that moment, Keenan Allen had more passing yards than Zach Wilson. Not what you want.
Ooh, that's hurtful. Jonny, response?
Well,
Zach Wilson is not what you want.
Zach Wilson is not what you want. So I'm going to put it this way about those Jets. We are just simply bad with Zach Wilson. We just incompetent. But it's not all Zach Wilson's fault. I am going to make a few notes about the game. First of all, the O-line has just been not that good, but I would say that this is probably the best game that they played in terms of O-line protection. But the Patriots defense absolutely blanketed the receivers, and he had no place to go. But Zach Wilson's decision-making, it's not there. He's not an NFL quarterback. The guy needs to be out of the league. Sorry to say it. At best, backup quarterback.
Yeah, he's not an NFL caliber quarterback, but we don't need to break that down any further. It's simply put, Zach Wilson at quarterback for your NFL team is not what you want. Not what you want. Were there any other big major injuries this week? I feel like Mike Williams was the only one. Other than that, it was a pretty clean week.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. And then the clear waiver ads in those situations were Josh Palmer, who went for, I think, what, $50 in our league?
$50 to Bobby J.
To Bobby J, and he was a big spender this week, was Bobby J on the waiver wire. He was live on the wire. And Anthony, you had already scooped Quentin Johnson back up. I think you had him, you drafted him, and then you dropped him and you picked him back up again. No,
I never had him. Somebody dropped him 2 weeks ago, and I scooped him for 6 beans.
Oh, not bad. Not bad at all. It seems like he's still not going to be the starter yet. He might not be ready. He's still pretty raw as a rookie, but it's nice to have him there as
To
a
me,
stash
the
potential.
Palmer's the guy that's going to immediately show the difference and get the work. But to me, it's if season long, it's Johnson for the work and the talent is there for him.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So let's take a look back at our games from this past week. This week we had some extremes. Danny, I'm glad we have you here on the call today because I wanted to talk about your game just one moment. The Golden Showers defeated 2023 Shemp 204.96 to 146.06. Now, 146.06, let's just get right out in front and say this is a very respectable score. 146, the Shemp had a good game this week. But that's the end of that conversation. However, as is often the case, a team that has a good game goes up against a team that has a great game. And Danny Mac set the standard for this season so far by scoring 204.96 points. This team went absolutely nuclear. The team went absolutely nuclear. Got it. And it was led by Raheem Mostert. Now, speaking of the Dolphins, we were mentioning the Dolphins a little while ago. Raheem Mostert scored 4 touchdowns and scored 45.2 points, and he wasn't even the highest scoring running back on that team. The Dolphins went completely berserk, and Danny Mac was the Dolphins of our team this week. Jordan Love, very, very savvy start by Danny Mac. Jordan Love stepped in and put up 25.26 points. He got 30 from Kenneth Walker. Amari Cooper, 28.6. 19.9 from Travis Kelce in his Taylor Swift game. And the Cleveland defense dominant for 22 points. This was an absolute butt whooping, but to no fault of the Shemp. The Golden Showers exploded this week in a must-win game. 200 plus points. This is the standard now. It's been set for the season. Everybody's going to be shooting for that 200 mark and more. There was even some points left on the Golden Showers bench this week. It could have been even crazier score. However, you can't really knock a lineup that scores 200 points. And for that, Danny Mac and the Golden Showers are this week's hero. Danny, any comments on the big victory this week?
It was needed.
Yes, back on track.
It was a game. I kind of wish I didn't sub out loss for Edwards, but what are you going to do? No point in complaining about it now.
What are you going to complain about? I didn't score 220. I only scored a 205.
I'm not trying to hand down the road. Yeah.
Well, hey, that's true. You always want to get the most points you could possibly get. That's for sure.
Yeah, in a league this tight, points are going to matter at some point, whether it be to get into the playoffs, seeding, bye week, etc. But it was a good week. It was a good week all around, except for my flexes. Both shit to bed, but what are you going to do?
Yep. Fantastic performance. Nice job in a must win. Like we said, as Jonny says, it was a must need, and you needed it, and you musted it. You musted the hell out of it, buddy. Congratulations. And like I said, kudos. The Champ put up a score. It just kind of stinks. It was a high scoring week in general, and sometimes. What do they say? Sometimes you're the bug and sometimes you're the shoe. So there it is. Sometimes you're the windshield.
Half the league scored over 150, bro. It was a big week.
Yeah, it was tough out there. But you know what else was tough out there? Speaking of which, one team scored what half the league scored. One team scored half of what the league scored, is what I meant to say. This week,
less than half.
It was stunning. The Beer Muscles could only muster Now we goofed last week on an 80-point scorer, 81-point scorer. We goofed on them pretty hard. I don't even remember who it is because I'm looking at a 65.18 on my screen right now next to the Beer Muscles name. Now listen to this. The Beer Muscles lost his matchup against Steelwater 163.08 to 65.18. That's almost 100-point loss. Almost 100. That is not what you want. 100 points. He got punched by 80, like legitimately 98 points. It's like it's flabbergasting to me. Now let's take a look at Beer Muscles, who scored the lowest score of the week and obviously the lowest score of the year so far by a pretty considerable margin. 81 is a distant memory when we're looking at 65. He got 25 points out of Mahomes. And then listen to this. Bijan, 10 points. Brian Robinson, 7 points. Drake London, 5.1. Josh Reynolds, Goose. Josh Dotson, sorry. No, that's Josh Dotson. I said it. It's Jahan Dotson, 4.1. 4.1. Zach Ertz. My ball, Zach Ertz, 2.6. Treylon Burks, 1.5, and Jahmyr Gibbs, 9.2. And then the Dallas defense, Goose. This was a comedy of errors. This was just bad. Everybody who was going to have a bad game had it this week.
When I scored 171 points last week, I could have been 3.5 times this week.
Yeah. I mean, it goes beyond any type of explanation. It is pitiful, and just as much as now everyone is going to be shooting for Danny Mac's 204 this week or this year and trying to outscore that, people are going to have that 65 in the back of their mind. Like, well, I can't score that low, and at least I didn't score the 65. Like, this is the standard for ineptitude right now. And Bobby J has set the ultimate standard for ineptitude in the year 2023. And for that, Beer Muscles is this week's GOAT. It was a tough one out there, especially in a week where there were so many huge scores. And a lot of different players put up big weeks. Like there was a pretty decent chance you had at least one player put up a decent week on your team, and like you 65 points. I mean, it's absolutely stunning. It's absolutely stunning. Anthony, what game made the biggest impression on you this week?
There was a few, but I like this matchup here between our Pretty Boy and the Drunken Bums.
Talk about it.
Pretty Boy and the Drunken Bums. The score between 9 points. So it was a close game.
152.36 to 143.1 in favor of the Bums.
That is a pretty close game. And when you look down at it, both their running backs had lackluster performances. Their QBs weren't. It was a little bit of a mess. But then you scroll down and you see that what saved the Bums' day is Buffalo Bills scoring 37 points. Buffalo Bills scoring 37 points. Now, here's like two things you normally have, and we say, like, if your defense is your highest scoring player, usually it's not good. It's not what you want. And we also say if you have a player who is, he wasn't the highest scoring player, but if you have a player that scores 50 or more points, you're usually in the clear to win. And here, it didn't fucking go that way. Johnny Boy has Keenan Allen, who literally was the entire offense there, almost 50 points. He threw a touchdown, 20 targets, 18 for 215, a 49-yard touchdown pass. Absolutely lit it up. Johnny was creaming. Berserk. And then to come down that you have lost and that it was the Buffalo Bills defense fault. And he did leave A-Chain on the bench, but you would have never started him. But yeah, this must have been an annoying little loss for Johnny to push him to 0-3 on a game that you would have thought he would have won.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough loss, especially when you look at the fact that you had Kadarius Toney again in this game, just letting Johnny down. He can't quit Kadarius Toney.
He can't let him down. He can't let him go.
He can't quit Kadarius Toney, and Kadarius Toney keeps hurting him, and he keeps going back to him. Kadarius Toney it promises that as soon as John's black eye heals and he can open it, he's going to take him to Hawaii to watch the sunset.
Yeah.
Everything's gonna be fine. Johnny just fell down and he fell down a flight of stairs. He's fine. Everything's fine between him and Kadarius Toney. Kadarius Toney, he'll just keep letting Tony hurt him.
But he did also, on a side note, Johnny's a good move is spent his money on Tutu Atwell, picks him up, and he scores a 17. Now, if he could have just did that one more time to replace Tony, might have been a different story. But hey,
if there was two tutus, then John would be fine. Then John would be fine. John, what you're 0-3. Where's your head at right now?
I think it's just a matter of staying the course. I'm not obviously it's not where you want to be, but my team's putting up points. I'm managing the team the best I can, but I will say that I'm riding the course. I'm getting a lot of low ball trades, and I that's why I'm very hesitant on putting certain players out on the trade block, because people want to send me garbage for Keenan Allen, which I've gotten a couple offers. Not going to drop any names in the pod.
Yeah, no, don't do that. Don't do that.
Not what you want.
That would be tampering. That would be tampering.
Not what you want. Not what you want.
Well, hey, John, in your quick defense, listen, everybody's going to have 3 losses realistically. You just don't want to start them that way. So I like your mentality. It's positive, right? I mean, everybody in the league is going to have 3 losses. So
I didn't expect anything less from our pretty boy. That's right.
Oh man.
John, what was your game, your recap game this week? What game are you looking at?
My game of the week was Sweep the Leg versus the Sizzler. All right. So both quarterbacks found success, with Justin Herbert being Justin Herbert with 31.3 points, 3 points. Just absolutely just being Justin Herbert, absolutely killing it. And Lamar Jackson, my goodness, Sweep the Leg has finally woken up with Lamar Jackson. I know he was a little bit holding his breath here, a little bit scared, but Lamar Jackson is back. Now, some positives with Sweep the Leg. He had the advantage at running back with Pollard, Damian Pierce, and not such a great day by Kieran Williams with a combined 41.5 points, while Sizzler only had a mere 23.9 points between Herbert James and Ramondre Stevenson. Not what you want. However, just one deciding factor, because there was 2 deciding factors in this game, was Sizzler at wide receiver. For both performances, pretty close, but at wide receiver, he had a combined 72.9 points between a just absolute nuclear performance by Devontae Adams on Monday Night Football with a 44.2 points, while Sweep the Leg had a respectable 55.8 points at wide receiver, led by A.J. Brown, Mike Evans, and newly acquired A.J. Brown. So very respectable.
DJ
but
Moore.
Really the deciding factor here was at tight end, in which rookie tight end Mr. Sam Laporta scores 24.4 points, while Hunter Henry was nowhere to be found with a 3.7 points. And he gets a touchdown robbed by him by a man named Pharaoh Brown. And for that is my game of the week.
That was brutal. That Pharaoh Brown touchdown, I was losing my shit when that happened. I was so distraught. Because that essentially, that's the game right there. Ugh,
that's a bomb. Yeah,
that one hurt.
Listen, we
but
all
and on the other side, Laporta caught his bomb. You know what I mean? Like that was what it was.
Laporta saved the day for me. Jacksonville's defense with a -4 scumbags.
That was gross.
But yeah, look, Sam Laporta, I called it during the draft. I was my guy from the draft. He is now tight end 2 on the year.
Yeah. So far, so good. That was a great call by you. Danny, what game from this past week 3 jumped out at you?
Rogues, and that's what she said.
Okay, let's talk about it.
Another close one.
Rogues 164.58 to 152.62.
Yeah, Kirk Cousins went off, almost 32 points. Josh Allen did fairly well, but not that good. Both running backs balled out on both teams. Well, balled out, but they both did well.
Mhm.
Wide receiver, pretty close. Pretty much close across the board. It was looking like it was going to be a blowout. And that's what she said, finished strong on Monday night. Chase getting right with 28 points. Eagles defense just suffocated the Bucs. They
And
scored
Swift.
19, but we came up short, as she said. 12 points. But
Yeah,
considering it very easily, they cuddled. They made it a game, putting up almost 55 points on Monday night, or 45 points on Monday night.
yeah, it became interesting. It's another game that became interesting. It
Yeah,
didn't seem like it was going to be, but then it was like, oh, wait a minute, hang on here.
right. And it wasn't enough to close, but it was enough to get you to pay attention.
Yep. And now that we have a couple of teams that are sitting at 0-3, hopefully they're paying attention too. We talked about Stillwater and the Beer Muscles. We talked about the Golden Showers and the Champ. This one. Run CMC is a 3-0 team. Okay. Run CMC behind the strength of Christian McCaffrey and Tua Tagliavoa, who people again questioned as a keeper. 157.26 to 111.38 over Team Blumpkin. CMC is 3-0, still has the lamest name in the league for his team. And Team Blumpkin is sitting at 1-2 right now and is not feeling super confident in his roster. He's performing self-harm. Tua 33.36. Christian McCaffrey just going crazy again, 22.9. James Conner having a nice year. Adam Thielen rose from the dead, 33.5 points. Right. Adam Thielen came back from the grave to go berserk with Andy Dalton at quarterback. So, I mean, hey, it is what it is. He started the right players. He's pushing the right buttons, and he's 3-0. This game happened. So there you go. And I think we talked about all the games. Yep.
We did.
There it is. Awesome. So looking at our standings right now in the Baldwin division, we have Jay sitting at 3-0, Anthony at 2-1, Bobby J at 2-1, then Danny Mack and myself at 1-2, and then Luis is 0-3. In the J Chuck division, as I mentioned, Eddie's in first, 3-0. Then we have Narkowitz and Taylor at 2-1. Will and Dahl are at 1-2, and then Pretty Boy Jonny is at 0-3. So there you go. Now our next segment is one we're going to call Not Mad. For example, we talked about it a little bit earlier with the Jets, and Zach Wilson is not an NFL starting quarterback. They went out and they signed Trevor Siemian. Okay, now Trevor Siemian was on his couch last week watching football just like we were. And now he's, the backup quarterback for the New York Jets and probably will ultimately be the starting quarterback for the New York Jets. And you know what? I'm not mad at it. I think that kind of saves, as a Brees Hall owner in a different league, and I invested in a lot of Garrett Wilson in best ball drafts. I'm not mad at a Trevor Siemian when you're looking at him as an alternative to Garrett Wilson. So that's kind of like where I was coming from with that. Anthony, is there anything that you're not mad at?
I guess looking at what somebody did here in a move with if you look at the Kirk Stillwater gang last week, my man picks up Tank Dell for $5. Now you pick up a guy with the name Tank, bro. Okay, Tank.
Mm-hmm.
There's two tanks. This tank is tanking it hard. No, the other one. Anyway, but picks up a guy for $5 and just starts him. and he gets the 29 out of him, I'm mad.
Yeah, I am actually mad at that because I drafted him and dropped him. He's my draft and drop of the year. He's my Amon-Ra St. Brown
You
draft and
actually, I
drop of the
remember
year.
you saying that. That's
I
the guy.
always do that. I draft a rookie receiver. I don't wait long enough. I drop him and then he blows up. It happens every year. So there you go, Tank Dell. I am mad at that, but thanks for bringing it up, John.
I didn't know.
I'm not mad that the Miami Dolphins dropped 70 points on the Denver Broncos. Let's talk about it.
Go for it.
About it. All right. So that's really, really historic. We were talking last year about how bad Nathaniel Hackett was. Let's talk about how bad Sean Payton and Vance Joseph as their defensive coordinator has been. And last year, Broncos being one of the better defenses in the league versus now they're one of the worst defenses in the league starting off the year, putting up a 70 points. That's the team just straight up quit on them. So if you're the Miami Dolphins right now, people are riffing and raving about it. So you ain't mad if you're a Miami Dolphins fan, especially if you own any part of that Miami's offense.
John, being in Florida, are you jumping ship, bro?
Nah, man, that's South Florida, buddy. That's about good 3.5 hours away.
Still in the state.
Danny, what aren't you mad at?
I'm not mad that the Cowboys, the Jaguars, and the Ravens all lost. Took out half of the knockout pool that we didn't have either of them. Any of them.
I'm mad at that.
Well, probably right 50% of the country that the knockout pool is. I'm just not in that 50%.
That's a good one. That's a good one. But you know what? It's not the best one of the week. The not mad of the week is the Stillwater owner Jay in the chat when he talked about getting lucky when he finally got his game in where he felt he was secure over Bobby J and he had the win. He jumped into the chat for like the first time ever and started talking about how, I guess my luck didn't run out or whatever the case may be. I honestly didn't even know what he was referring to. I had to go back and watch our episode to like remember to find out what it was that he was even referring to with the luck thing. Turns out it was John's comments. So we'll go to John in a minute for his response. But the not mad of the week is Jay, who was definitely not mad about John saying that he was lucky. Definitely not mad about that. So he's the not mad of the week. John, any comments?
I'll save my comment until we go over key matchups.
Oh, fair enough.
This coming week.
Make us wait, John.
I like it.
Let the anticipation build.
That is good. But you know what? It's time for key matchups. Yes, absolutely.
Right on cue.
Next week, this coming week, week 4, we have a couple of really interesting games. As I mentioned a couple of times, we have some 3-0 teams. We have some 0-3 teams. And John rightly said that it's still early. He alluded to the fact that it's still early. But Anthony did mention that time flies when you're playing fantasy football. This week's key matchup that I'm gonna highlight for the game of the week actually features an 0-3 team going against a 2-1 team. This is a divisional matchup between the 2-1 Gotham Rogues and the 0-3 Pretty Boy Johnny. Now, Pretty Boy Johnny has had a rough go of it, as we've well noted, but he hasn't lost his faith. He hasn't lost his heart. And as of right now, he hasn't lost Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones is scheduled to play, one of Johnny's best players. He hasn't lost Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen's sitting right there, ready to go. Okay, he hasn't lost Tutu Atwell, even though he's really tiny. He hasn't lost him. And you know what? Johnny needs a win. He's going with Russell Wilson, Cortland Sutton stack, which produced a touchdown last week. But he's going up against a formidable opponent. Kirk Cousins having a great fantasy season. Jerome Ford, largely still unproven. Joe Mixon, Garrett Wilson, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, Hollywood Brown, Jacoby Myers. I mean, this team is strong. It's not unbeatable, but it's got a lot of strong pieces in there. Jonny, 0-3, going up against the Gotham Rogues. How do you feel? Be honest.
I need performances from my running backs. Derrick Henry's been a big disappointment, especially that the Titans O line. Aaron Jones coming back is a big, huge one for me. And I'm really disappointed in the Commanders' offense. The Commanders' offense hasn't been what I thought it would be with McLaren. There's just guys on my team where I feel like there is opportunity for growth. But like as you mentioned, I think that one thing, a positive we could say about the Denver Broncos is I like Russell Wilson this year. He's actually played way better. Not the Russell Wilson we're used to seeing, but formidable. Just picked up CJ Stroud, so he's actually been a big surprise. Actually, arguably right now in front runner of Rookie of the Year. Let's talk about it. The Houston Texans have been playing very well with CJ Stroud there. So I'm confident going in there. It's going to be a great matchup, and I'm hoping for a win, man. Not too confident in it. I know it's going to be a battle. Still working out some trades. Hopefully some trades get worked out. So we'll see. We will see.
Cool. Yes. Best of luck to you. You're going to need it. Jonny, what's your key matchup for this week?
So my key matchup of the week is the 1-2 Blumpkin versus the 1-2. That's what she said. Now both these teams are looking to go 500. All right. At running back, I would say that that's what she said is currently a little bit slightly at the advantage, but both these teams are pretty evenly matched, both at wide receiver and tight end. And let's see if both these teams can push themselves into the 500 club and get themselves back into playoff contention. You want to start off with being 2-2. It's a good spot to be in, and you do not want to be 1-3 sitting in the bottom cellar trying to figure out what's your next move. And for that is my spotlight game of the week coming up.
You can say key matchup. It's okay.
Key matchup. Sorry,
I didn't copyright it. Everybody's allowed to use key matchup. Okay. Anthony, what's your key matchup this week?
My key matchup of the week is featuring the Kirk Stillwater gang versus the ex-champion, the Golden Showers.
He's the president.
Sorry, our champion here, our reigning champ here, Golden Showers, who's 1-2. This is the quarterback here. A little question mark play where Danny Dimes flaking or not flaking. Jordan Love, which we all think is going to be a nice game this Thursday. The running backs is a clear advantage to the Golden Showers with the no running back drafted by the Stillwater, and then is it the luck going to run out? But this is going to be the matchup of the week for me. This is the one I'm watching. It's going to be the most interesting. Is the champion going to go to 1-3, or are we going to have a new member that's 4-0?
Yeah, this is an excellent matchup, especially with the Golden Showers coming off their giant score. Obviously, you're not going to score 200 points every single week, but I think Danny Mac, you did that once, didn't you? Score 200 points 2 weeks in a row.
Last year.
So it's not out of the question. But yeah, as Anthony noted, the running backs are tilted towards the Golden Showers. Stillwater's got those receivers. And so we'll see how it goes. It should be very interesting. Will the Stillwater gang continue to 4-0? Jonny, your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, so I like to respond to Jay's comments. So first and foremost, I want to give you kudos. This is no luck charm. I got to give you credit, man. You are the second highest scoring team in the league with 459.18 points in the league. You're absolutely killing it right now, and it is well deserved. I also want to point out a couple of things about him. He's managed to pick up, as mentioned earlier by Anthony, tanked out, as well as Puka Nakua, I believe his name is.
Nakua.
You should know you're not supposed to help him.
All right. So to go along with his strong wide receivers already, I would argue now with those two pickups, you have the best wide receiver group in the entire league right now. It just shows that you are not only strong with your wide receivers, but you have good management with your team and know who to pick up, who not to. All right. Now, I do want to point out something, however. You have the lowest points scored against in the entire league with 321.34 points in the entire league. All right. You are also starting Daniel Jones, which is ranked number 22nd in the league. Your best running backs are Isaiah Pacheco, even though I'm a big Rutgers guy, go Scarlet Knights. And then you have David Montgomery, not where you want, right? And right now, currently, you better hope that Mark Andrews gets it together, because right now he is ranked number 12. All right, so you're really hoping for that. All right. Now, what I will point out, and I will stop talking crap about it, and this is not luck, is you got a key matchup with Danny Mac right now. And you have a big test against the reigning champ right now, which he currently last week went nuclear for 204.96. If you can win this key matchup, you have earned my respect as a contender for this year's champion. And for that, that is my response to Jay.
Fantastic. I love it. Danny, how you feel about this matchup? Where's your head at now, coming off the big win, going up against a very formidable opponent?
I mean, I feel pretty good. I mean, week 1 was a disaster. I was 12th in the league in points scored after the first week, and now I'm first. So it wasn't just past week. The week before, I scored a bunch of points too. Like Bobby J just didn't score 15 points like he did this week. So I feel pretty, but his team's good. I mean, the receivers are really, really good. But yeah, there's the running backs. Couple questions there. He's a good tight end, but again, that it's one good
as a whole has been disappointing.
Not going to have an advantage. But yeah, you just got to hope only 1 or 2 of the receivers go off. There's 1 or 2 of them go off. You just don't want 3 or 4 of them to go off.
Yeah, that's fair. You don't want to see Tank Dell putting up 28 points every single week. Like that's something that we're not going to rely on.
You don't want Puka getting those 20 targets a game.
Well, I mean,
let me put it this way: if you get 50 points from like Diggs and Olave or Diggs and Jefferson, and nobody else really goes off, I'm pretty confident I can win.
Fair enough.
But again, with those receivers, 3 or 4 of them can go off at any given time. You get 100, you get 110, 120 points off 4 guys. Who cares if the rest of the team sucks? You can skate to 170. You're going to win 90% of the games.
Yeah, that's true. I mean,
my guys have good matchups. Giving Burrow another week, although he did look a little bit better this past week. Love has a better matchup. And I think Burrow will pass him in value and will be the better play, but not yet.
Yeah, he looked a little uncomfortable. You can kind of, when you were watching him, you could tell he wasn't like fully.
Look right, and at the same time, probably look better than the first 2 games, which isn't saying a whole lot. So he's getting there, but it's slowly. Kenneth has been great.
Yeah.
Not letting Charbonnet
get out. Has been really. Yeah.
That clock is ticking. On you.
The bye week start next week.
Yep. So, Danny, who's your key matchup for this week?
You and Bobby.
Sweep the leg and beer muscles.
Yeah. 2-1 versus 1-2. Bobby went from 2-0 to scoring 65 points.
Not what you want.
If you win this, you're right back in it at 2-2. Lamar and Mahomes battle the top 2 guys over the last 5 years going at it. Running backs, he has B. Robinson and B. Robinson. One of them is a very good play. One of them probably isn't as good of a play as the other. You have Jason Williams, although your running back 1 is actually slotted into your flex.
Yes.
But he's also got Pierce, who you could argue is as good as at least Brian Robinson. Receivers, though, that's where you have quite a big advantage. AJ Brown looked right. We talked about it this weekend. The Eagles got right this weekend.
Yep.
Mike, I think, will be all right if Watson plays, but you're looking like he's going to. Palmer, he will pick up some of the slack. I personally think Keenan Allen's going to pick up part of the slack and just get a shit ton of targets until he gets hurt. Drake London, yeah. I know he caught it. Didn't he score a few points last game? But I mean, they can't throw the football.
Right.
DJ Moore, the Bears are I mean, Justin Fields is awful. The fucking defensive coordinator's off the team for God only knows what. It's bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think at the end of the day, I think you make it to 2-2 this week, and the
You know what?
division tightens up.
I hope you're right, pal. I hope you're right. Yeah, I have 4 running backs starting right now. I have two running backs, and then both my flexes are running backs. And right now, Cam Akers is pure speculation that he's even going to be playing. But I picked up that kid Calvin Austin just in case. So I got a guy. I got a guy for that.
Yeah, he's looking good.
Yeah, it's all right. He's getting targets.
Deep ball threat, though.
Yeah, it would have been nice to have him in my lineup last week. That would have been even better. That would have been what I did want. We talked about. Okay, so
Every game,
no,
but mine, I believe.
we also haven't talked about the Drunken Bums and Run CMC. So Run CMC and the Drunken Bums. CMC is 3-0. The Drunken Bums are 2-1. Okay, but CMC is favored. It seems right now, at least, that CMC is favored by a pretty decent margin. He's got Tua. He's got Christian McCaffrey. Alvin Kamara coming back into action. T. Higgins has been an abysmal disaster, but he's still T. Higgins. DK Metcalf, Addison, Waller, James Conner, the reanimated corpse of Adam Thielen, apparently. That's the weak spot on that lineup. Jets defense, Buffalo, Debo Samuel, Jerry Jeudy, Freiermuth, Pickens, Gabriel Davis, Nico Collins, Jacob. I like CMC to win this game. I don't know about you guys. I think the Drunken Bums goes from 2-1 to 2-2. He's the ultimate paper tiger. Doesn't he do this every year where he's got a record that makes no sense because his roster stinks?
Yes.
We go this. It's every year, rinse repeat with this guy. And Sizzler versus the Champ. Now this is going to be the trash talk bowl of all trash talk bowls, because Anthony and Luis are in love with each other. They have a love affair going on that is something of myth and legend.
Yeah.
So the Sizzler is starting Justin Herbert, who's having a great year. I think he's like the quarterback 1 or something close to it. James Cook, Ramondre Stevenson at running back. We got Brock Purdy on the other side right now, which, I mean, he's a fine NFL starter. He's been putting up decent numbers this year. Miles Sanders, Najee Harris, who are 2 running backs that you don't love. And then Kenny Gainwell is the 3rd running back in this roster. Devontae Adams had an enormous game last week, basically put the team on his back, dude. But he's going against Tyreek Hill this week. So that right there is going to be a wide receiver matchup to keep our eye on. Calvin Ridley, Devontae Smith, Michael Pittman. This guy picked up Olamide Zaccheaus because he caught that touchdown pass. That's roster management right there, boys. He's got, Kenny Gainwell and Olamide Zaccheaus in the lineup right now. That's interesting. Very interesting. Sam Laporta, the tight end too. He's having a great year. Kyle Pitts. Sam Laporta is doing things Kyle Pitts only dreams that he could do. And then we got Chris Godwin and Quentin Johnson in the flex versus, again, Gainwell and Jalen Hyatt still in that lineup. I think this is a walkover win for the Sizzler in this one, unless Luis does something with his roster. We've talked about it ad nauseum in the chat that Luis has to start making some moves here, because you cannot run out a lineup that has Olamide Zaccheaus, Kenny Gainwell, Jalen Hyatt in it. it's bad enough that he's starting Brock Purdy and Kyle Pitts, but you cannot not be starting Hyatt, Gainwell, and Zacchaeus in a fantasy football league, unless it's like 14 or 16 teams or something. Then all bets are off. Or if it's like some sort of wacky premiums league that puts premiums on players that get one target. So that's this week's games that are coming up. Anybody have any interesting takeaways or any interesting things that they're looking forward to? I like that the trade market has sort of opened up a little bit. People are starting to make some moves, make some things. So that I think that's kind of good. We're legitimately off and running, guys. The season is rolling right now. So that's
we have two new members that are 3-0.
Yeah.
And tied for second in most points scored.
Yeah.
Only behind by 3. They both have the 3 to whatever it is, 59. They're 3 points behind Danny Mac. So it's
2-3-0 teams are new members, and both 0-3 teams have. Oh wait, sorry, John. Never mind. Yeah. So there you go. I have one stat for you guys, the stat of the week, before we wrap it up. This week's stat. Now officially for the second straight year in a row, Dameon Pierce has been traded from the sweep the leg to the beer muscles. It happened last year, and it just happened again this year.
Ain't that funny?
Yeah. I just realized that today as I was preparing for the episode. I was like, wait a minute.
You're like, wow, I like to draft this guy, and then you're like,
I really love drafting Dameon Pierce and then trading him to Bobby J. I'll probably do it again next year.
It's going to be a tradition.
Yeah, it'd be nice. I will see you guys next week, where it's always Sunday.